Welcome back to Extra Shot, the podcast about the funniest stories in sport this goddamn week. And on the show today, Christian, the Horn Dog Horner, is finally finished off. Robbie Savage's old colleagues spill the beans on his reign of terror. And Wimbledon tennis fans engage in a dirty protest. My name is Jack. Zach is here, as ever. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, thanks,
Very
Jake.
good,
How are you
very
doing?
good.
Yeah.
We're very excited, actually, because we've got a special coming out on Oasis.
Yeah.
The band.
It's,
Not the drink.
Which is your favourite flavour?
They've got quite weird tropical flavours.
I do like an Oasis, actually. It's
Sure.
nice,
But the
nice
band I
summer
like
drink.
even
But
more,
Yeah.
who are
yeah.
big news at the moment. So we've recorded a special on their story. It's fucking, I mean, obviously everyone knows Oasis is wild, but it is.
There's
fucking wild.
so many stories that I'd not heard.
Yeah.
Especially from the early years. So the first it's actually gonna be a 3-parter released on Patreon. Part 1 is out today, and I think it's actually one of my favourite Patreon episodes we've ever done.
I would
sort
go
of-
further and say favourite general episode.
Yeah.
It was exciting to do it. Doing like music, rock and roll rather than sport. It has like a slightly different, like more sort of romantic excitement feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just a lot of like meth smoking, smacking each other around the head with cricket bats, like fighting members of the public,
Yeah.
terrorizing cross-channel ferries.
Yeah, scrapping with Italian gangsters in hotels.
There's a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Dare I say it?
Yeah, it's quite nice to be stepping out of our comfort zone of the warm embrace of sport.
Yeah, into slightly different climes. So people can listen to that on Patreon right now. Patreon.com/Upshot Towers. It's only £3 a month, so you'll get that 3-part series. Bonus episode every week, various other perks as well. So that's been fun, but still maybe not quite as fun as the breaking news that came out just before we came on, which is that Christian Horner, the Red Bull F1 boss, is finally leaving.
Yeah, I mean, he's survived quite a lot, hasn't he? Because there was his big sexting scandal from last year that they sort of stood by him through that, and then. Now, as they sit 4th in the Constructors' Championship, they've decided that is the final straw.
Look, sending descriptions of your wanking to your PA, we can abide by, but we are 5 seconds off Oscar Piastri now, so we've got to act.
Yeah.
Personally, I made my mind up about Christian Horner last year. As you said, he was accused of sending inappropriate sexual messages to a junior employee at Red Bull. I should say he was cleared of any wrongdoing twice.
When we say he's cleared of wrongdoing, did he not send the text? Or
I think he was cleared of.
Red Bull decided that was not a wrongdoing.
Yeah, in our world, gives us fucking wings, quite frankly. No, I think he was cleared of like breaching any employment law.
Yeah,
or any
sounds
law.
like it.
So
yeah.
because there was an internal investigation, and then it all went public, and then I think there was an independent law firm did an investigation, and both cleared him. So we should say that, and he denies any wrongdoing. But some quite embarrassing WhatsApp messages he'd sent did get leaked online onto Google Drive. Google Drive to survive. And shall I just do a few highlights from it?
Please do. Yeah.
So my highlight was when Horn Dog told this junior employee that he had joined the Mile Eye Club, which
you were also a member
he
of.
joined me in the
famously.
Mile Eye Club. I welcomed him into the Mile Eye Club. So he basically told her that she'd got him out of control while he was on a plane to Dubai. I think by text, they were sort of flirting or whatever, and that he'd finished himself off in the toilet.
So now I'm thinking of Mile Eye Club. So there's members that I know of. Are you, Christian Horner? Do we know of any other members?
What people who have masturbated in a plane
Yeah.
toilet? Well, I should say that I was a teenager, and had a great picture of Ashanti on whatever magazine it was.
I mean, I think it's quite a stressful situation for many reasons, but also like often the taps in plane toilets are it's really just like a little dribble of water that comes out. What do you do in that situation?
What, you mean to wash your hands
Yeah.
after? There's enough water in the taps, thank you. He also there's also another similar one where she misses his call, and then she's like, "What's up?" And he goes, "Sorry, just really wanted you to hear the fireball," which I think is his term for orgasm. The fireball.
The fireball.
Because he also, in another one, he refers to self-pleasure as Han Solo, as in the Star Wars character. I mean, I get it. Do I need to explain that one? Probably not. The
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. If he was trying to be a bit more on the nose. Trying to Seaman 3PO. They're getting worse. The other stuff, it's not like wild. Like, I can see why he was cleared of wrongdoing. It's just like sort of like a 14-year-old who's running out of phone credit trying to flirt with someone. It's quite like direct and a bit needy. So there are like a few ones where he says like stuff like, "Oh, I really wanted you today," and like, "You look attractive," and like asking her about her Spanx underwear. He has a bit of fixation for. If you want my guess, I think they had a flirty relationship, and maybe he went a bit far. There are definitely messages where she's like, "Stop doing this. You're married and my boss."
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's definitely out of order to be doing that to your employees, right?
It's not appropriate in a workplace.
Yeah.
But I can see why it wasn't like a major scan. I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? He wasn't.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's also like a personal scandal as well for him, right? Because he's married.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of feel like if he wasn't who he was in the position that he was, then he would have got sacked by Red Bull. If that had been just like a fellow junior colleague.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he got CBE that year. So he got the opposite of sacked. Moving on, I've got a story about Manchester United defender Matthijs De Ligt. So, you know, if you've ever dated someone with spiritual tendencies, you'll know that healing crystals and horoscopes, they initially seem like a bit of harmless fun, but quite quickly it becomes clear that they are in fact a gateway drug for some pretty fruity shit. So when Matthijs De Ligt's wife Anne Key developed a taste for all things witchy, he started to grow a little bit concerned.
So I'm just looking at her. So her name is spelled like Annekee.
Yeah.
That's unusual. That's the name of somebody who's into crystals.
Yeah, it's quite pop starry. I don't know if she's changed it, but yeah, Anne Key Molinar. But they're married, and you know, I think early on Matthijs was like, yeah, okay, I can put up with the odd nugget of quartz being tucked into my kit bag, and you know, the palm reading in bed was kind of cute for a while. But then came the tarot cards, the galactic Reiki sessions, and the weekend trips to unclog the Lancashire ley line network, and pretty soon Anne Key was taking the piss, quite frankly. And so Matthijs De Ligt has decided enough is enough. And according to Dutch press, last week he left his wife after a year of marriage because he's sick of her spiritual lifestyle and beliefs. So she has got this like Instagram page called Alchemia, like alchemy, which is just like your classic sort of mix of tarot cards, Sex and the City memes, like vaguely spiritual art. It's just sort of like, I don't know, not particularly committed to any one thing.
So they were together for a year.
Yeah. Well, they got married a year ago.
They got married a year ago. Do you think it's really ramped up in the last year then?
I mean, like,
because
I said,
surely he would sort of know that she has those kind of tendencies before.
Yeah, but in my experience, it
is
is a bit of a rabbit hole that
yeah.
In my experience, I'm not going to unpack that one further. But between me and my marriage guidance counsellor, but it can ramp up. It's a gateway drug.
Yeah.
So I think what was initially quite cute, you know, so she recently launched this like website and Instagram page, and it's like, I don't know, it doesn't look that intensely annoying to me. It's like she's got like a playlist that's like Ed Sheeran and stuff. It's all just quite like sweet 20-something.
Do you think Matias De Ligt was coming back home from training? He just endured Ruben Amorim telling Man United for the 15th time that they're the shittest team that he's ever seen. All he wants to do is just have a chat about it with his wife, you know, just unpack it a little bit and just talk about how down he's feeling after being slagged off by his boss again, and she's instead taking him outside to consult the stars and look at the tarot cards.
Well, you know, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Just fuck off. Yeah, I think like coming back with a hamstring strain and they want to treat that by doing positive affirmations to the tap water.
Yeah.
You can see how it's annoying as a sportsman, as like an elite sporting machine as well. But yeah, so it's quite brutal because they were meant to be properly doing a wedding party next month. So they got married a year ago, like small ceremony. He had to leave the evening of it to go and join up with the Euro 2024 Dutch squad. So they never had their like proper wedding party. And yeah, they were a month off doing this big party, and he's pulled the plug.
What was the party looking like?
Yeah, it's probably no big party now. Call off the cacao ceremony. Do you reckon that a wedding can be quite a stressful thing to plan with someone?
Did she want her Reiki healer to conduct the ceremony?
Yeah, you know that thing I've seen people do now where they like have their hands like tied together. You seen that? It's like a pagan wedding ritual.
No.
I can imagine there was some of that shit.
Yeah.
And it would start to...
That's quite medieval, isn't it?
Yeah, or pagan, I guess, yeah. So anyway, instead, Matthijs, having called off his wedding and dumped her, he has fucked off to Barbados and Ibiza.
Very nice.
Fair enough.
I feel like Ibiza has a bit of that.
Yeah, I'd recommend he steers clear of the north of the island. There's quite a lot of like shamanic drumming and like menus with moon milk on them. Steer clear of Benirras Beach, Matthijs, if you're listening.
Yeah. I was hearing about maybe it was you that's telling me about this. Someone who offers, what's it called, where they heal you by
Reiki.
Reiki, is it Reiki healing, where they heal you without touching you? It's just like the energy that flows from the healer's hands into your body, and you can also get that on Zoom. It's like the biggest fucking scam.
It's actually
ever. So someone's on the other end of the line, other side of the country, doing like Reiki healing on you as you lie on your own bed.
It's actually even more of a grift than that, because there's one where you just text them. So you text them saying, okay, can you start now? And then they text you when they're done. And so as far as you know, they're just in the pub, but they tell you they're doing the Reiki on you remotely. And then they just send you a bill.
And how much does it set you back?
I actually don't know the price, but typically these treatments are between 50 and 100 quid.
Shit.
Probably around the midpoint.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if we end up getting sued by FIFA and
we'll do that.
Pack the pod in, then they can know what I'm doing next.
My mate said he was at a festival and he got a massage, so this kind of serves him right for doing that. But he thought it was just gonna be a normal massage, and it was Reiki. So he was just lying there, and the woman just never got around to touching him. Just mainly doing his aura, actually. I don't know what galactic Reiki is, but it's a real thing. I was googling it, and apparently it promises DNA upgrades. I also know of another one where there's this woman in Scotland who you call her or text her, and then she asks you to put a glass of water in the fridge, and then she blesses that.
She blesses it from Scotland.
Yeah, she's doing it from there. So it's very convenient.
I mean,
work from home revolution, mate.
Yeah.
There's one thing we learned from COVID: the new normal. Get your blessings done remotely. Yeah, my wife teaches meditation, so she's not mental. Not into this mad shit, but she's sort of exposed to some of this
That's not what you told me off air, Jack.
I'm actually thinking of calling the wedding party off. But she sort of like is exposed to some of this stuff. So I just this week was texting her like, come on, tell me
did you mental. But you did also heal your back pain.
I did heal my back pain with my mind,
right? So do you want to talk about this?
Do people want to hear about it?
Yeah. You were my understanding of it is that you had like back pain for quite a while, and you were basically having Zoom calls with somebody who was telling you to how you should think about the back pain.
Yeah, I think some back pain is a psychological condition. It's a stress response, like grinding your teeth. A lot of people grind their teeth when they're stressed. It's just the muscles in your back tensing up, causing pain. Does that sound mad to you?
Yeah. You did recently put a crystal skull on our desk.
And I've told you about the ley lines that run under the podcast studio, haven't I? I won't bore people with the back pain thing. It is my only really fruity mental opinion where I think modern medicine is medieval. But yeah, if you're suffering from back pain, get in touch.
Yeah.
And I'll bless the water in your fridge. It did work.
You've been walking around with an evil eye in your pocket.
Yeah, and the rest. Coming back to Matias De Ligt, to be fair to him, he does know a thing or two about being rejected with very harsh explanations. We might have told this story before, but back in 2018, Man United had the chance to sign him when he was like a teenager. And like they could have bought him for peanuts. Obviously, they ended up paying millions for him, I think.
80 million or something,
yeah.
I think.
But at the time, they turned him down because the club scouts met with De Ligt and his family, and they decided that his father was, quote, too fat, and that they were worried that the 18-year-old centre-back would go the same way.
Yeah. So had they like done research on this before, or did they like they called him into a meeting and it's like, God, his dad's like, his dad comes in with like a McDonald's.
They're just like, No, absolutely not. I feel like I've looked his dad up and he's really not that fat either.
Yeah. So what their idea was like, it runs in the family.
Yeah, which it can, but like not that much.
Yeah, he's an elite athlete.
Yeah. Sorry, he's got a fat dad. But was this when United could afford to be quite picky, basically?
Yeah.
I feel like now they'd wave the fat dad through. They're like, they're feeding him. Anyway, now Anne Key isn't around to feed Matthias a diet of ashwagandha and lion's mane mushrooms. Maybe United should be a bit worried. You know, he's over in Barbados eating fried fish.
Yeah, wasn't Joshua? He was there with Joshua Xerxes, right? Doing that.
Oh, was it?
I think they were on holiday together. That was the video. I think we played it a few weeks ago of him like daggering someone.
And then he had a wet patch on his crotch. It was a bit of a barrel scraper of a story.
It was. It was a slow week. But
yeah, unlike this week.
There's been quite a lot of sport going on. Wimbledon, obviously, and the Club World Cup, which I'm yet to watch a single minute of. But
yeah, I've not watched a kick.
Yeah,
have you not?
Now it's got so far that it's a matter of principle now.
Yeah, I thought the early knockout rounds were going to be the test.
Yeah,
and I just
to be honest, it doesn't seem like there's been much coverage of it really.
Yeah, or
you don't hear people talking about it. I haven't seen it on in pubs.
I haven't seen it on once.
Yeah.
If people have seen differently, let us know. I'm interested.
Yeah.
I feel like Chelsea fans have been the most engaged that I know of.
Yeah. JP was watching it, wasn't he? Teddy, our producer, is also nodding.
I watched all 90 minutes of the Chelsea game last night. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You're through, right? To the final.
But as you say, I went to the local pub to go and watch it and it wasn't on. So I had to go and watch it at home. Criminal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty delighted because it feels like it hasn't had the cut through that they were hoping for. I'm sure they'll keep doing it every 4 years or whatever it is, but doesn't feel like it's been a success. When they slashed for the Chelsea game, the semi-final tickets, they were selling them for like $15.
$13, yeah. I think they initially were on sale for $200 and something, and they went slashed them to $13.40 or something. And
now FIFA have been like, see, dynamic pricing is great. It's really fair. You all got cheap tickets.
Yeah,
which is bollocks because next year for the World Cup.
Justification, yeah. Did you see there was a picture that Mbappe shared on his Instagram of him? He scored like a bicycle kick against Dortmund in the quarterfinals, and the picture that he shared had like extra fans, sort of AI generated, up into the corner,
and they looked like
it looks like a sort of FIFA crowd.
Yeah, from an early edition of FIFA, FIFA 97, just like cardboard cutouts. So what's happened there? They've used like AI, I think, cloning, to make the crowd extended.
Yeah. It's insane. Mental. Anyway, so like we said, Chelsea are through to the final. They beat Fluminense, the Brazilian side, in the semi-final, which is still a pretty good run by them. I think they'll be pretty satisfied. And it was all masterminded by their veteran gaffer Renato Gaucho. So Gaucho, he's in his 7th spell managing Fluminense. He's also managed Gremio 4 times.
Is it like is it the Dutch job?
The Dutch, it's like Roderick and Van Gaal.
Yeah.
But 7 times that he's managed them. And I was looking through, like he was sacked after like poor runs of results often.
Well, then they keep going back.
They just keep going back.
He's promiscuous.
Sort of, yeah. Maybe Matias De Ligt will do the same. Yeah, anyways, he's back there now. He's actually cropped up on this podcast before because he was good mates with Kaiser, the football con man. So we did a whole episode about him. He's the guy, he had a decade-long football career playing for Fluminense and some of Brazil's biggest teams without playing a single match. Like every time he trained with them, and as soon as he was about to play, he'd get injured, and somehow managed to fake his way to a proper career,
and then just live the like playboy,
live the life. So he actually used to impersonate Renato Gaucho to get into nightclubs and chat up women, basically, which is maybe not allowed. But Renato was, at the time, Brazilian football's biggest sex symbol. He was really good looking. It's like really exciting winger. And he was just like an absolute Adonis, really, in Rio's nightlife scene. He used to strut around the city wearing a t-shirt, we'll look at a picture of it now, that read, "Sex instructor, first class is free." Which,
we should say he's also got a mullet.
He's got a mullet
and a horrible. Is that a bum bag or are those his shorts? Tiny shorts.
Sort of short shorts.
That's a
short
t-shirt.
shorts, sunglasses, and t-shirt really. That is sort of in the same category as FBI female body inspector t-shirts.
Oh yeah, when we were like sort of 15, yeah, there was one I remember that was like an eye test, but it spelled out like "read this while I stare at your boobs" or something. And wasn't there another one that was like, it was like wet t-shirt competition official oil boy or something like really rank.
Yeah, you don't see many of them anymore.
Do teenage boys wear them anymore? I feel like they don't. No, teenage boys are a lot more too trendy now.
Teenage boys are quite.
They've got perms.
Yeah, Gen Z is quite bit more woke.
Yeah, they're not wearing free sex instructor t-shirts. How old is he? Where he's wearing that? Like 30.
Yeah, he looks it. Yeah.
Different times.
Yeah.
What decade is that? 80s?
So this is 80s. That was when he was at his peak. He actually got kicked out of the Brazil squad for the 86 World Cup because him and Leonardo, one of their other stars, snuck out of the training camp and were out partying till 4 a.m. And yeah, so he got kicked out of the squad for that. He also got sold by Botafogo after hosting a barbecue for their rival Flamengo's players midway through the Brazilian Cup final. So the Cup final was taking place over 2 legs, and Botafogo, who he played for, had lost 3-0 in the first leg. And then in the gap before the second leg took place, he invited the whole Flamengo squad over to his place for a barbecue. And photos came out of it, and the fans, unsurprisingly, were a bit mad about it, turned up protesting outside the training ground, and he got dropped for the second leg and then sold by Botafogo. He ended up then at Flamengo.
Oh, right, yeah. With love him so much.
Yeah. But yeah, he's never been one to be short of confidence. He declared that he was better than Cristiano Ronaldo, and also said that although Pele scored 1,000 goals, my body count is higher than that.
Oh, so he's one of these guys claiming like,
yeah, that he's a shagger, basically.
So
he did an interview with a Brazilian newspaper when he was 46, which you might think that he, by age 46, is sort of past boasting about these kind of things, but he said in this interview, "I counted and recounted and came to the conclusion that I've had sex with no less than 5,000 women. No one has ever had so much sex. I am a true phenomenon. You can write in your column that Renato Gaucho is a true taboo destroyer."
Yeah, 46 is too
46,
old. Too old for that shit.
You don't need to say that.
Do we think, when we did our George Best episode, Vittorio, our guest, posited a theory, which is specifically George Best, but also a lot of other people who claim these like insane numbers of shagging are just like
closeted.
Yeah. They're in the closet.
Yeah.
I kind of buy it.
Yeah.
Not always.
Maybe if that's true, then he's continuing to hide away.
Or even now.
Yeah, because he's still sort of speaking in sleazy allegories all the time. So in the last 16, Fluminense, his side, who's managing now, got a real smash and grab win against Inter. It was, low possession, but hit them on the break. And after that, this clip surfaced, which is actually from a few years ago, where he explained his low possession football philosophy. So I'll just read out the translation. "I'll tell you a little story about ball possession. There was a guy who picked up a pretty woman and took her to a candlelit dinner. He talked to her a lot. They left the restaurant and he took her to the nightclub. He stayed until 5 o'clock in the morning with her, wasting a lot of saliva. Then a friend arrives, talks to this woman for 15 minutes and takes her to the motel."
So he's the friend.
He's basically saying that don't waste your breath with all this passing around and chatting and taking people out for dinner, just in, out.
Smash
and grab.
Or grab and smash. What does wasting saliva mean? That
I think talking. I think it might be a Brazilian expression, which I quite like actually. Wasting your saliva. Yeah. So that's. I just like that when he's asked to explain his like footballing philosophy, that his mind instantly goes to sex.
Playing football is very much like making love to a beautiful woman. Yeah.
There was a good one from Ian Holloway, similar, which is years ago. But he did an interview after quite a scrappy win that QPR got, and he said, to put it in gentleman's terms, we didn't look our best today, but we pulled. Our performance today would not be the best looking bird, but at least we got her in the taxi. She may not have been the best looking lady we ended up taking home, but it was still very pleasant and very nice. So thanks very much, and let's have a coffee.
He really had to reiterate it as well.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going into the interview being like, I am going to use that analogy, or it just comes to him?
I don't know. Maybe he's got a few of them up his sleeve.
There's something slightly more budget about the date with Ian Holloway than the date with Renato Gaucho as well, isn't there? So get in a taxi, have a coffee.
Yeah, Ian Holloway's, he's definitely on Blackpool Pleasure Beach. He did another one I liked. He said, managing a league club is like making love to a mermaid. You should always be aiming for a top half finish.
That's Ian Holloway.
Yeah. I never really had him down as a bit of
I like that.
a saucy.
It's quite good. Who said it? Renato Gaucho, Ian Holloway.
Yeah, or Christian Horner.
Many other people we mentioned on this podcast. So Gaucho is still Fluminense manager.
Yeah.
I guess he's done well there, hasn't he?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think they'd be pretty satisfied with the semi-finals.
Wonder how he's going to celebrate. Get the feeling he's still a shagger, right?
I don't know if he's happily married now, but I
don't think it makes that much difference, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also, judging by the trajectory of his numbers from like 1,000 odd to 5,000 when he's 46.
Yeah.
No let up.
There was the Brazilian paper that he did that and did some calculations, and they worked out it was something like, I think it was 3 a week, 3 different women a week for like 30 years.
Yeah, I wonder if orgies help.
Yeah.
They got their like data team on the newspaper on that, some like charts and visualizations. John Burr Murdoch at the FTs on that, tweeting it.
So we were going to get our data scientists to look into the spending on the new motorway connecting Rio and Sao Paulo, but instead...
Right now, I've got a bit more motorsport for us. Obviously, Horner was the big story in F1 this week, but there was also the small matter of the British Grand Prix, which was an absolute thriller. Lando Norris won it. He also, he got smashed in the face by a cameraman like during the celebrations.
Yeah.
Looked quite painful.
Yeah.
Right on the schnoz. I think that was genuinely considered an absolute classic. The commentator said like this was one of the most unmissable races in years. But personally, for old-fashioned grit, gas, and godliness, you cannot beat a bit of NASCAR. And there's a video doing the rounds at the moment from before a race in Nashville where they held a pre-race prayer. I don't know if they do this for every race or if this was just for this one, but Pastor Joe Nelms, he's a big petrol head as well as a man of the cloth, he took the mic and delivered this pre-race prayer, and he absolutely smashed it. It's an all-timer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for GM Performance Technology and the R07 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa, and my 2 children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the Little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
I mean, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know how, like, when they do the really American shit for like the Club World Cup, for example, like they had the guy doing Let's Get Ready to Rumble, you're a bit like, oh, fuck off. When it's in like a proper American environment, having a sponsored prayer is fucking awesome.
Do you think those are
those are the sponsors?
They are
Goodyear tires and shit.
Yeah.
Ruff and Yates, whatever, is their sponsors. I mean, the smoking hot wife thing is actually a reference to Talladega Nights, that Will Ferrell film that Sacha Baron Cohen's in. Yeah. He says it in a prayer. And I think I actually couldn't get what boogity 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 is, but it's a cultural reference. So like he's having fun with it on purpose, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, I guess those are the sponsors that they wanna thank.
Yeah, it's a bit like we did the story a couple of weeks ago about Kai Nishikori apologising to his wife for cheating and also getting in his sponsors.
Apologise to Asahi for their super dry lager. Yeah, I do. I like it. I'd like to see that prayer more often. I think that prayer is actually a few years old. The video, but it's really doing the rounds at the moment. I guess you would need it in American sport. Would it be weird if they did that at the World Cup next year?
Yeah.
Thanking Pepsi and MasterCard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, while we're thanking the good Lord for things and sponsors, how's about we give a big old boogity for Saily, the cheapest way to get mobile data while you're on holiday abroad.
Praise the Lord for good
Praise
Saily.
the Lord for my smoking hot wife. And for an eSIM brought to you by the creators of NordVPN. So yeah, Saily, the way it works, you download it once to your phone, like an app. It is an app. And then you basically get cheap data for 200 countries. You just buy a plan. So it's the cheapest,
200
easiest
of the
way.
Lord's
200 of the
lands.
finest countries on earth. Yeah, I guess the countries where you don't get it are fucking heathens anyway.
Yeah.
So
You don't want to go there.
the good Lord does not shine on them with cheap data. Or an inbuilt ad blocker, actually, which it does come with.
Yeah, they're getting pop-up porn adverts.
Yeah, they're getting
aren't
pop-up
they?
porn and they're paying, 15 quid a day for like 500 megabytes. You know, like when you go on holiday and they're like, welcome to Spain. You're about to get absolutely shafted on data.
Yeah.
Always happens. And actually you do use your phone abroad for WhatsApp, I guess, is basically the thing.
Yeah, and data as well for finding good local restaurants.
Yeah, finding where the branch of Lineker's bar that you want is. Yeah, Ocean Beach Club. Calling taxis, I don't know, all that shit.
All kind of things,
Yeah.
all good things.
You want it abroad. And what you don't want to do is stand in the queue at the airport like a fucking mug, buying a little paper SIM, putting it in your phone like a drug dealer or something.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, if there's one thing the good Lord wants, is for you to use Saily.
Yeah,
You got any?
you could use the data to find a good local church to go and praise the Lord as
some
well.
quotes from the Bible.
Yeah.
All that stuff. You got any holidays coming up?
No, used up all my holidays for the year.
Good, because they're not approved.
Actually, I'm going to France in September.
Oh, nice. How long for?
A week.
You're going to need an eSIM, my friend.
I will.
You are going to need an eSIM. I'm going to Amsterdam for a weekend.
And you're going to get Saily in for that.
Yeah,
of course.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the stuff you're going to get up to in Amsterdam, you're going to need
I'm going to need
some good, holy blessings.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm going to need a secure connection. So thank you, baby Jesus, for this gift of Saily, and an even greater gift from the good Lord, who's truly shining upon us today, because Saily are giving Upshot listeners a 15% discount. Oh,
Jesus,
praise the
thank you.
Lord! Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Mary. So basically, to get this, just go to the App Store, download Saily. Going to put a QR code on the screen for YouTube watchers as well, and a link in our description box with all the details. But yeah, you download Saily in the App Store, use code UPSHOT at checkout to get 15% off your first purchase. So Saily is spelled Saily. But yeah, link is in the description box. All your details of how to achieve salvation through eSIMs. Who'd have thought it?
Amen to that.
I feel a bit like, in medieval times, they started telling people that they could buy pardons. You could avoid hell. They're like, buy this bit of paper and you'll be forgiven for your adultery. And it was a scam.
Yeah.
Which this isn't. Let me emphasize. Sure, they'll
This
appreciate me.
this eSIM will get you into heaven.
Yeah, get you into heaven, and boy, you'll get cheap data along the way.
All right, so back to football. And do you see Robbie Savage was appointed manager of Forest Green Rovers, the fully vegan National League side this week, which raised a few eyebrows among the Forest Green ultras as they guzzled down their tofu fritters and necked ethical lager in the stadium bar. Because not only is Robbie, let's be honest, a little bit of an insufferable bellend, but he also only has 1 year of managerial experience, which, to be fair, he did actually do really well. So he was in charge of Macclesfield last season, and they won the Northern Premier League by 26 points. He was actually previously the sporting director there for 4 years, and then he decided last summer to sack the manager and instead appoint himself as boss. So the fall guy for him there was a guy called Michael Clegg, who is a bit of a non-league journeyman manager. And when he was sacked by Robbie Savage, he claimed slightly cryptically that it was absolutely nothing to do with money. I got on really well with the board. There was only one person I didn't get on with, but they knew how torn that relationship was, and it proved impossible to carry on. So, I think you could probably read between the lines there about who he was talking about. And this week, when Robbie Savage's departure from Macclesfield was announced, Michael Clegg popped up with a tweet that read, "A massive day for Macclesfield. They are now in a better position than ever." And then he responded to another fan and tweeted, "From office staff to players to maintenance men, there will be a party tonight. Trust me."
So everyone hates Robbie.
He's basically implying that, nobody could stand being around Robbie, which obviously it could just be sour grapes because Robbie sacked him and
won promotion.
Did actually really well.
And when he was sporting director, didn't they win promotion a couple of times as well?
I
feel like he's had a good I mean, Macclesfield, I thought they were in League One, so they obviously have fallen on hard times.
So this is like a Phoenix club. They're called Macclesfield FC. I think.
Oh, did they go under?
I think they must have done, yeah.
Right.
So
he's done well, but probably with like...
I think they've got decent... Budget. I think he's also... he was a part owner as well. He's now sold his...
Because he's the manager
shares.
now.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea that non-league clubs have sporting directors now. That's how professional it's got. But even part owner Robbie Savage can't win over the maintenance men and the...
Yeah, well, apparently so. It's quite juicy. You can't imagine Robbie being the sort of guy to needlessly mug you off in front of all your colleagues and then go off cackling.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it's as simple as that, or do you think it's like a proper reign of terror where he's like bollocking people?
I don't know. I if anyone has got any inside scoops on that, I had a look around for actual stories, but couldn't find any.
Because Michael Clegg, is that his name? Yeah.
Michael Clegg.
He's got an axe to grind.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I do also believe him because, as mentioned above, Robbie Savage, a little bit.
Yeah.
Of a fucking bellend.
Do you remember there was the story of Roy Keane pulling out of signing him for Sunderland? So he called him up and his voicemail was like, "Hi, it's Robbie. What up?" Like the Budweiser ad. And Roy Keane was just like, I never called him back. I thought, can't be fucking signing that.
Can't sign that. That story sort of tells you as much about both men. Although in Robbie Savage's defence, people were literally greeting each other like that all the time when that Budweiser advert came out.
Yeah, I imagine this was later.
Yeah, it'd be funny if it was sort of 4 years later. It's David Brent.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of the David Brent about Robbie Savage. A little bit.
I find him very annoying.
Yeah, definitely. Can't argue with the results.
Or
can you? Michael Clegg certainly would.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if he does well. Forest Green, because they were in League Two until recently. I think
they had Duncan Ferguson.
I think they're going down the route of high-profile managers, which actually Macclesfield are as well. They've appointed Wayne Rooney's younger brother.
Nice Rooney you got there.
Yeah.
Expensive. Right, we did a Wimbledon special a couple of weeks ago where we warned that the Pims, the sunshine, the strawberries and cream, it can all, send the Wimbledon crowds a little bit wild. Usually it's making the beast with two backs in the woods on Wimbledon Common or, nipping off for a quickie in the prayer room. But as Wimbledon 2025 entered its second week, there was a new complaint from residents in SW19. Local campaigners are accusing the tennis fans in the queue at Wimbledon of defecating and urinating in the woods while they're queuing up for their tickets.
I think there's quite a difference between defecating and urinating. Urinating, like, maybe it's a little bit annoying, but I don't think I think in the woods.
In the woods, you can piss in the woods, can't you?
Yeah, I think it's fine. This way, I can see if it's like constant, if it's like opposite your house, maybe. But defecating in the woods, that's crossing a line.
Unless you're the bear, a bear, or the
or a womble.
Yeah, or a womble. Wombles actually clean rubbish up, don't they?
Yeah, but they must shit as well in the woods.
But they'd clean it up, I think. Unlike these unruly people in the queue. But I agree. Like,
do you think the people in the queue think that there are wombles to clear it up?
Yeah, so that's fine. Uncle Bulgaria will get that steaming turd I've left. I think also there are toilets for the queue. I looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's like official toilet. Yeah. Maybe there's a queue for the queues. Fucking hell, it's endless queuing. But I think pooing even in a woodland the size of Wimbledon Common is too much. But so the local campaigners who, we've talked about them before, they put up signs saying game, sex and match, no thanks, being like, please don't shag in our woods. And they're sort of policing it. I slightly get the feeling that they sort of love it. It's like they have 2 weeks a year where they got a real sense of purpose.
Yeah. Someone's left a Murray Mound in the woods.
Henman Hill. Because if you've ever been on like a WhatsApp for like a road or something, quite quickly you get a sense there are certain characters who sort of live for like policing the area a bit.
Yeah.
So I think they're loving it.
Curtain twitches.
Yeah, exactly, curtain twitches. Although they have said they said, we've come across used tissues and it's clear what they've been used for. That's quite rank as well.
Yeah.
Almost worse than a turd in its own way. For the environment,
probably is. Yeah. Both bad.
Both horrid, even in the middle of a large woodland. Unfair.
We didn't come across any of them.
No, I didn't see any shit.
You didn't defecate in the
George
woods,
was gone for like 10 minutes at one point. And he asked me to borrow a tissue. I just thought nothing of it. Thought he just got himself worked up. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that is unspeakable, really, doing a poo in the queue. Just queue for the lose. Is the queue like, I guess you're there all night, aren't you?
Some people camp out, which
and like pubs can be knobs about letting you use their loos. I bet in Wimbledon they are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
any other theories?
I don't know. I guess. But maybe if you're standing out in the queue in the sun, bit of sunstroke, you maybe lose control of your bodily functions. And
you had enough wherewithal to bring tissues.
True.
Then there's no excuse. In my opinion.
Yeah. This is premeditated.
Yeah. Although in a way we all probably used to just shit in woodlands. So
yeah.
Where am I going with this?
Stop moaning about
it. Could also be the jilted line judges doing a dirty protest, because they were doing protests at the start of Wimbledon, weren't they?
Yeah, I did see some people. I don't know if they were actual line judges, but they were dressed as line judges with posters complaining about AI taking our jobs.
Yeah, the robots.
Yeah.
What? And so maybe they're like, right, we're not getting enough attention. It's time for dirty protest.
Yeah.
Time to.
One of them's going to go on hunger strike.
Yeah, it's time to get a bit Longkesh prison in here. Daub the walls.
Yeah,
it's possible. It's possible. While we're talking Wimbledon, I have noticed a lot more people are picking up on a story that we broke, I think, a year ago, which is that Emma Raducanu and Carlos Alcaraz are an item. I don't know it for sure, but I have heard it as gossip for a long time.
Yeah, and it's been quite noticeable with how they haven't come out and denied it. Like if you could easily just come out and say like, no, we're not.
Yeah, because she's in the crowd for all his games, and they are a mixed doubles pair, which that can only be one thing. They're fucking. No, but I don't know. They could just be mates. But you're right, they haven't denied it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you heard it here first.
People seem to be quite obsessed with working out who Raducanu is dating. But there's been a few other suggestions. I saw Kyrgios had it was on a podcast or something, and he said that he suggested that she was actually going out with Jack Draper.
Didn't you say there was like a love triangle?
Oh yeah, there's a love triangle. That's what
Alcaraz
he said.
And Jack Draper. Yeah, I mean, Nick Kyrgios also thinks aliens built the Giza pyramids.
Take what he says with a pinch of salt.
Unlike this random gossip I heard in the pub. Still think it's true. The press are like so hungry for this story. They also asked, Cameron Norrie won against Nico Jarry, quite a big win. And he was obviously hoping that in the press conference afterwards they'd be like, so what's changed that you've had this amazing comeback? And instead one of the journalists was like, can I just ask you, are you dating Emma Raducanu? Are the rumours true? And he was just like, what? No, fuck off. He looked so annoyed by it, but it must be quite annoying.
He did just get smashed by Alcaraz as well, so maybe that was a
bit of revenge.
Yeah.
Bit of Ray Wenge. Yeah, maybe Kyrgios is right, but he's got the wrong British tennis player. I don't think it's Cameron Norrie. But yeah, it was like very thirsty tabloid reporting. And to be fair, the tabloids will scrape the barrel for any Emma Raducanu story. My favourite this week came from the Mirror, who tweeted, Emma Raducanu to lose almost half of her £152,000 Wimbledon prize money. And you're like, God, what's happened? Has she been fined? It can't just be tax that they're talking about, surely. Well, I clicked on the link and they are referring to the fact that she will have to pay income tax on her earnings.
Yeah. I've never really thought about that though. That you have to pay tax on the winnings.
Yeah,
but yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, but I think that was a misleading headline, to be honest.
Yeah,
given that it's true of all earnings.
So obviously the big non-sport story of this week was Oasis beginning their eagerly anticipated comeback tour. Reviews of it have been amazing. Like I saw some clips. It looks great. I am on the hunt for a ticket if anyone just get that in as well. Yeah. If anyone's got a spare, knock it around. But among the hordes of Parker-clad fans in the crowd was the boxer Ricky Hatton, bobbing his head along to Supersonic. He's good mates with Oasis, actually. There was a time, 2008, Liam and Noel flanked him for a ring walk for one of his fights. We're looking at a picture of him with Liam with one of the worst haircuts I've ever seen.
It's the Paul Weller,
sort of
Mank
Paul Weller,
haircut, which we are seeing around more at the moment.
Yeah, but this is a particularly odd incarnation of it. It's like the fringe is extremely short. He looks. I think this is cokey phase.
He looks cokey phase.
It's all cokey, but like he looks quite pallid. His face.
What, they're holding up Ricky's belts?
They're holding up Ricky's belts and accompanying him into the ring. So they are mates, and maybe being inspired by the thought of Liam and Noel soaking up the adulation of 75,000 fans, Ricky's been lining up a comeback of his own. And, admittedly, it's not 7 nights at Wembley Stadium. He's actually fighting fellow 46-year-old Isa Al-Dar, an Emirati boxer who only ever fought 11 fights in his career.
How's Ricky?
46 as well.
Oh, so
he'll be 47 by the time the fight comes around in December. It's taking place in Dubai, obviously. And Ricky was all set to fly out there to do this big press conference to announce the fight on Sunday. But unfortunately, as Liam Gallagher launched into an encore of Rock and Roll Star on Friday night, Ricky got a little bit carried away and ended up stabbing himself in the eye with his sunglasses. And this injury, it sounds quite nasty. He was unable to fly and ended up having to join his own press conference on Zoom.
Which, if it's already feeling a bit of a budget, just a cash cow.
Yeah, it is very like much like the Oasis gig. A lot of dads reliving their pomp and coming out with injuries, realizing that they're not quite capable of.
I'm not quite my 9-to-5 self. It's a bit different to when I went to Nebworth. Yeah. But I think zooming in for a press conference is immediately destroying a lot of the cachet of the event, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes at Glastonbury had a bit where it was like people on Zoom on the screen. I was like, you can't fucking Zoom for an event like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
what support act? Like,
no, I think it was even him talking something. It was a very weird segment, a lot of AI. But yeah, I think Zoom looks budget, which is not what Ricky wants for his big cash cow comeback.
Yeah.
Is he going to make a lot of money out of that? I mean, that's a pension pot fight, isn't it?
I imagine so, yeah. Apparently the guy he's fighting is a big deal in the UAE. He's sort of the only big boxer they've had. Yeah, the press conference, he was like, everyone in the UAE will be watching this fight.
And everyone in the UK as well.
Everyone in the UK.
I mean, I wouldn't mind watching the Hitman back in action.
Yeah, it's good to see he's doing better.
Yeah, provided he keeps the sunglasses on strings away from his eye. Love that. Yeah. Nice to have an Oasis story as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we are about to go over onto Patreon, where we have got part 1 of the story of Oasis. Some absolute rock and roll madness, as discussed at the beginning. All the meth, all the fighting, shagging, groupies, fights, arrests. It's all happening.
A lot of drama.
It's really fucking good. It's the story of the biggest rock and roll band on the planet right now, you would say.
Yeah.
It's the perfect accompaniment to Oasis Fever because you can sort of like dial into the coverage, maybe you're going to the gigs, but this is where you get like the backstory of all the madness of like the recording sessions and the tours and just the fucking funny quips as well.
Yeah.
Like we play quite a lot of just like clips of Liam and Noel talking and they are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
It's a very fun episode. This part 1 is the early years when there's a lot of stories I hadn't heard.
Yeah, loads. So
JP is in there as well in the dungeon, waiting to do it with us. We've got him locked down, listening to "Standing on the Shoulders of Giants" on repeat for the past 24 hours.
Yeah.
A real torture.
Yeah, not the album I would have picked. But you can listen to that right now on Patreon. If you're not already a member, go to patreon.com/Upshot Towers. £3 a month. So might be some dynamic pricing in place. No, it is £3, unlike Oasis. £3 won't get you a fucking drink at Oasis.
But it will get you a full story.
It'll get you their full story, including all the madness and lots of stories most people have never heard. So join us on there if you like Oasis, and if not, we'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you.